For today's class, we are going to continue with Unit 2, which was GDP. Okay, so I will switch the slides. We were doing gross domestic product, and until what we have studied, we have talked about what is GDP, we have talked about circular flow model, and we know now, until now, that GDP will be calculated using expenditure approach and income approach, two methods, expenditure and income. And from here, we are going to start today. Just show you the slides. We have talked about GDP, what is not included in GDP, and circular flow model. And we practiced these questions using Kahoot last week. Okay, and next is measuring the GDP. Here we are. So we are going to calculate GDP. What I'm going to do now, before first break, I will explain expenditure and income approach, most of the methods at the same time, and then we'll give you practice questions to work in breakout rooms. So in groups, you will calculate gross domestic product using either expenditure or income approach. And then after we'll continue with the further topics. Okay. So first is the expenditure approach. If you remember last week, we did study up till this point, GDP is equal to C plus I plus G plus NX, where C is the household consumption expenditure, I is businesses or firms investment expenditure, G is government expenditure, and NX stands for net exports, which is the spendings by rest of the world. And we calculate net exports as exports subtract imports. So it's very important that you understand what is net export and what do we subtract. So exports subtract imports, not the other way. Okay, so what we export is being produced in Canada, and we export it, sell it in the international market and receive the money. Right? Import is not produced in Canada. So we import it. So we subtract it from GDP because we make the payment for imports. Right? So C plus I plus G plus NX, that is the expenditure approach methods formula, that is GDP, that is the meaning of GDP and everything. Okay. C is consumption expenditure, that could be like any expenditure on durable items, non-durable items, semi-durable items. For example, expenditure on refrigerator, on your vehicle, on any other electronics, appliances, or these kind of items. Semi-durable, like your clothes, your furniture, and yeah, those kind of items which do not stay for like really life longer, but yeah, could stay a little longer. And then perishable items or non-durable items like your food items, groceries, and all that. So yeah, those are included in consumption expenditures. And I stands for investment expenditure that firms do. Firms spend in the market, in goods market, where in order to increase the capital, right? It's not the spending on raw material because that will be intermediate consumption. This is the final increase in stock of capital, that is investment, increase in inventories. So when they increase the inventories, those kind of investments are firms' investment expenditures. When government spend on government offices, For example, to run the offices, they spend on goods and services. It could be the furniture, equipment, it could be laptops, all these items. Those are government spendings on goods and services in the goods market. And net export, rest of the world, when they purchase from our economy and we purchase from rest of the world, we subtract our purchase, but we add the exports. Okay, going back to the circular flow model, this side is the expenditure side on circular flow model, and yeah, C plus I plus G plus NX, right? That makes the gross domestic product using expenditure method, right? And remember, one person's expenditure is other person's income, right? So expenditure side will always be equal to income side. So for example, if I purchase, let's say, a laptop, and Elzardo is selling that laptop, so my purchase is my spending, and that will be Elzardo's income, right? So expenditure side is always equal to income side that way. Okay. Now, example for this. This data is taken from Statistics Canada's website, which is Canada's official website, and we will use a lot of times that website in our course or in the term. Okay, this is organized data, I would say, like it's not scattered everywhere. So just to show you, made it simple. So we have personal expenditure on goods, consumer goods and services. That includes all kind of durable, non-durable goods and all that. C stands for that. In 2017, Canada has 1,240,922 millions of consumption expenditures made by household sector. Okay, and this is 58% of our total GDP. Okay, how do we calculate this percentage? So consumption divided by GDP times 100. Simple thing. If you want to say the investment share, so it's going to be investment divided by GDP times 100. It's like the portion of consumption, investment, or government expenditure and all that on this side. Okay, so yeah, this is consumption expenditure in 2017. Business investments or investment expenditure was 420,289, like that. Okay, just to let you know, in exam or in assignment, I will not ask you the data questions like how much was the consumption expenditure in 2017. No such kind of questions going to be there. What you need to know is what will be added or subtracted in GDP calculation. So you need to know these items that we add in GDP and what we subtract from GDP. Okay, and numbers will be given, you just add or subtract them. I'll give you exam practice question on that too. Okay, net exports now. Net exports were negative 50,416 million. So it is negative. Could you possibly explain why would we get negative net exports? Someone, please? Any idea? Joshua, would you like to explain? Why is this negative? It's like I cannot hear you. Is someone talking? Yeah, Courtney, because the company is in debt. Yeah. So we are talking about Canada, not the company. So Canada, yes, but there is little difference in the word debt. We will not use it like that in here. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's net exports, which is exports subtract imports. Okay. And we borrow more, we purchase more from outside than we exported, right? We imported more than we exported. That's why net exports are negative, right? And yeah, it could be negative, positive, or zero, depending upon how much we have exported or how much we have imported from the rest of the world. Okay. So yeah, net exports are negative. Last item in there is statistical discrepancy. Statistical discrepancy is like very smaller number. It's kind of 0.01 or 0.1% sometimes, right? What does this mean? It is kind of mathematical error sometimes in calculation of GDP. Not really intentionally, they did addition or subtraction calculation error. It is, for example, if we say 6 million, just randomly I wrote the number. Canada has spent $6 million on the business investments, right? But that does not mean 6 million complete, 6 and then zeros after that. No, there will be $6,438,925 dollars, right? So what are all those? We rounded it to the nearest zeros, nearest million, right? And that is 6 million. All the numbers, when we eliminate them by rounding it to something, that could cause a statistical discrepancy. And because of that, we just add that number in here. How do we check it? One thing, whatever GDP you calculate using expenditure approach will always be equal to GDP calculated through income approach. If it's not equal, there is statistical discrepancy. And if there is more than expected, then there is a problem that you took wrong numbers or something, right? Otherwise, 0.01% kind of statistical discrepancy is okay. It is because of the rounding. One example for that. Okay. Next is income approach. I know I'm teaching both the approaches at the same time because I want you to practice both at the same time. Okay. Income approach. Income approach is little, so I would suggest you pay attention. There is no particular formula like C plus I plus G plus NX for income approach, one thing. And second, there are few steps to complete to calculate GDP using income approach. To start with, I'm going back to the circular flow model. Okay. So income, circular flow model says on the income side, there is income. And this income is our factor income. Factors of production earn income, which is rent, interest, wages, and profit or loss, right? So we add all those incomes. That will give us the income side of the GDP or the circular flow model. And when we add all those income, we call it net income at factor cost. We call it net domestic income at factor cost. It is net because the income that you receive is net income, not the gross income, right? And we have to make a few adjustments to take it to GDP, to gross domestic product, from income at net income at factor cost. Okay. So now, what are those adjustments that we need to make? We're going to study that. Okay. So first, we're going to add all the incomes earned by the factors of production, right? And then we add indirect taxes, subtract subsidies from there. Now, why would we do that? A simple reason for that, I'll give you an example. Let's say a shirt that you purchase from a store, its price tag says it is worth $10. Just simple example. So price tag says the shirt is worth $1. Okay, when you go to the mall or a store to purchase this shirt, how much you actually pay for that at the cash register? Anyone, please? Yes, the shirt that is worth $10. Yes, that's right, Alzado. So you pay tax on it, which is 13% tax, right? And you end up paying $11.30 to the store. Okay. Now, shirt price is $10, right? And this $10 will go back when you pay $10, remember, through the forms on circular flow model, it goes back to factors of production as a factor payment. So out of this $10, wages will be paid, part of wages, part of rent, part of interest, and the rest is the profit. Will go to all four factors of production: land, labor, capital, entrepreneur, right? But you pay $11.30 in the market. So your expenditure, consumption expenditure is $11.30, but your income on the other side is $10. Where did this $1.30 go? Right? The question to think is, where did this $1.30 go? This is indirect tax. That goes to the government, right? HST or something. Yes, that's right, Ian. So government. But this is not included in our incomes, right? So we cannot say expenditure side is equal to income side. What we will do is, in order to move from factor payment, I'm writing in here, net domestic income at factor payment, at factor cost, we can say. So the factor payments, which was $10, right? So to move from factor cost to market price, and what did you actually pay in market? $11.30. We add taxes in our $10, right? It's just an example to explain why we add indirect taxes using income approach. Because what we receive did not include the taxes in there, indirect taxes, because taxes have gone to the government. So in order to calculate GDP, we add indirect taxes to our incomes and subtract subsidies. So same way, if tax increases the price, right, subsidies decreases the price, because subsidy is financial help provided by the government to some of the firms, right? They decrease the cost of production, right? So we subtract the subsidies. For your work, you don't have to do that. It will be done for you, but it will give like indirect taxes less subsidies. Okay, we will reach to net domestic income at market price, but this is net, and we have to reach to gross domestic product, right? In order to do that, we will do one more adjustment, that is add depreciation. Depreciation is actually consumption of capital. It's wear and tear. So what you spend on maintenance, on keep up that your machinery is working kind of things. So that is depreciation. And that is not included in our net income, right? So to reach from net to gross, we add the depreciation. Net plus depreciation equals gross. Okay, so it could be gross income, it could be gross investment. So when you want to reach to gross investment, We do net investment plus depreciation, it's gross investment. The other example for this is easy. If you are working, right, your pay stub says you earn something else, that is gross income. What you receive at the end after deduction of taxes and everything is the net income, right? So in order to reach to gross from the net, we add all those kind of adjustments, whether it's depreciation or in terms of our income, we add the taxes to we reach to gross. And opposite happens. If you have to calculate net, but the gross is given, we will do gross, subtract depreciation and net. In this case, for our income approach, we will add all the incomes, then we will add indirect taxes to that, make it market price, and then we add depreciation to make it gross domestic product at the end. Okay, so this is the little adjustment we have to make. So there is no direct formula. Yeah, if you want to make a formula, yes, add all the incomes and then add indirect taxes less subsidies, and then add depreciation. Example, same year, 2017, taken from Statistics Canada. So these are the incomes: wages, salaries, supplemental labor income, corporate income, business profits, rent income, farm income, any kind of income. The word that says income, compensation, or salary at the end is the factor payment, factor income. You add all of them to reach to net domestic income at factor cost. Okay, and in that we will make adjustment now. Indirect taxes less subsidies, we add them. Okay, we reach to net domestic income at market price. It is net. So in order to move to gross, we will add depreciation, which is called capital consumption, to that. And then we will reach to the gross domestic product. Okay. Again, statistical discrepancy, same $47. We will add on the income side, right? So sometimes we do half and half, add one there and subtract from the other side. We will reach to the same number of GDP. Okay, same way if you have to calculate the portion of wages and salaries. So wages divided by GDP, total GDP times 100 will get you the percentage of wages in GDP, percentage of taxes in GDP, like that. Okay, so that is income approach. Okay, so gross and net I have explained, but you can always check this one. This example is taken from your textbook actually, so you can always read that one and solve this one for gross and net investment calculation. Okay. All right, so that was it. I'm going to give you the practice work now, for which I will share a document with you through the chat. It's cloud document. Let me just share it first and then I will talk about that. Just quickly, I will do that. Copy. Chat. I guess, yes, you can see a link in the chat. Please open that link and open the document. I'm resending it. Some student, okay, now. Okay, I'm stop sharing this slides now, and I will open the document with you. It might take some time, like few seconds to open. It doesn't open right away. So you have a document in this, a link in the chat. Yes, please open the document. I can see many students already there. So I will show you what to do. Where is it? Okay. So this is GDP practice work based on our attendance. There will be 4 to 5 students in a group. Okay. And when I open the breakout rooms, check your room number and join. Room 1 will work with slide 3. Slide number 3, that's number shows here. So this is your slide. You're calculating GDP, answering these questions. Okay. Room 2 will work with slide 4. This is your question. Room 3 will work with slide 5. Room 4 work with slide 6. Okay. So each group will have a different question and I will answer all of them at the end. We will discuss the answers. You can type in the slide. So you can click anywhere, okay, and type in there on your slide. Okay. And what else? Yeah, you will get 10 minutes to answer all these questions. 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5 or 6 questions. You get 10 minutes. Some student will use expenditure approach and some questions are used with income approach. So just check which one works for you. Okay. I will open the breakout rooms now. Multiple students can share the screen. So just try if you can share. Otherwise, this is cloud document. You can work on it. Once you are done, you can exit the breakout room. Do not exit the meeting, just the breakout room. Many students did not want to work in groups, so they exited with the link, I guess. 3 to 4 students in a group. Okay. Please join the room when you see the prompt. Sorry about my health today. Just join the room when you see it. I'm just checking time. Okay, all set. Alex, Danica, please join your room. Alessandro is waiting there. So, Samandeep. Okay. Yeah, I know internet could be a little slow, so I'm assuming you will join it. Danica, are you there? Shinal, Kusundi, please join your room. Are you trying to talk? I cannot hear you. Hello. Hi, Cassandra, Loveleen, Chanjit. Are you here?
Yes, ma'am.
You can just unmute your mic and talk to each other. Hi, Cassandra. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to talk, but I don't know nobody's. Oh, there's a chat. Okay, only Loveline is replying. The other
Okay.
person is not.
Yeah. So maybe like sometimes it's not um comfortable turning the mic on. So just keep an eye on chat also. Does your question make sense? You got the hard one actually.
Honestly, I'm just gonna say right now, I don't know what I am meant to do here. Like, I do not understand what this is. I'm not
Do
even
you have
gonna
the
lie.
slides? Do you have the slides?
The slide from the class.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to that yet. I was just following yours, so I'm just gonna pull it up right now.
Yeah, so those are in other learning resources.
Okay.
And Chanjis, are you there? So
Is it under week 3?
no, they are you scroll down completely, they are under other learning resources. They are
Oh,
in plus
okay.
11.
Yeah, found it.
Yeah.
So, um, unit 3 or unit 2? I think we're still in unit 2.
Scroll down completely. It says PowerPoint slides, PPTs.
Once.
All right, Chanjit, I can understand. Deanna, I guess you just entered. So do you know do you have the slides? I mean, sorry, I got it. Were you able to open the link of document, Deanna?
Okay.
Link on in my laptop. Okay, you joined with the phone. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see if it works. I'll resend it. Just a second. Here. Copy link. I guess you can see it now, Dean. Just try. Lovely. Sorry, Cassandra, are you able to find that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are week 2 and 3 slides under that, under those ones. Yeah.
Okay, I think I should be good now.
Yeah, Loveleen, I guess you started working on it. Yeah, so GDP can be adding all the money. Yeah, so you just need to answer here which
Okay.
method you will use for the first question,
Mm-hmm.
like expenditure or income approach, right? So if it is income, so which incomes you will count? I mean, like how would you add, like how many items would you add in there, right? So just
Mm-hmm.
try how many questions you can answer. It's nothing that um, I'm not expecting 100% perfect answer in
Yeah.
here. You're doing it for the first time. Just try. Okay.
Okay.
This is a kind of question you might see in exam. We need to practice on this.
Okay.
So I will give the room for other to join. Okay. So you continue working. All right. So we have Danica here now. Chanel and Kusundeep, you did not join any room yet. I have to remove you from the meet for now. So that my Breakout rooms do not get messed up. I'm sorry, I have to, yeah, remove you. Chanel, are you planning to join the room? Or is there any issue anywhere? Just talk to me, or you can type in the chat. So I know that if you are there or not. Okay. What happened, Danica?
I'm not sure what's going on with my computer right now. It's always kicking me out, but let me try again.
Okay.
Sorry about this.
But do you have the document link?
Yep.
Okay, all right. Because if you're not there, I have to remove you from the meet for now. Okay. Otherwise, type in chat if something is like, is there any issue? In this question, we will use the expenditure approach to calculate expenditure method to calculate GDP. And that also, I don't know, it was written or it just wrote someone. So yes, expenditure approach. Okay. And for expenditure approach, the method, the formula is GDP equals C plus I plus G plus NX, and NX stands for export minus imports. So we have to find whether we have all these 4 or 5 component or items in the table or not, right? Consumption expenditure, yes, we have C. Unincorporated business incomes. This is the income. We will ignore it. We are using expenditure method. So we will not take any income in here. Ignore it. Investment, which is I, investment expenditure. That is absolutely right. If it's only investment given, so the complete investment, gross investment is given. Okay. So it's not net, it's investment given. We good. Imports. Yes, we need it because we have to calculate net exports. Depreciation we do not use in expenditure method. So we ignore this one in calculation of GDP. Then government purchase of goods and services, G, that is our government expenditure. We will use it. And then exports. Yes, exports we will use to calculate net imports. So because exports and imports is separate given, we will use the method that says export minus imports, right? So we have C, I 100, G 150, X 30, 10, and M 30. 300. I don't know why did you write 50 here, but we don't need 50. This is C, this is I, this is G, okay, and this is NX. Perfect job, whoever did it, negative 20, because 10 take away 30 is negative 20. Okay, and that will be a different number because we have deleted that. Can you add it? How much is it? 400, 550, subtract 20, 530, right? Does this make sense now? So I'm deleting this part. In calculation, it looks, well, it was right. So X minus M is 10 minus 30 equals 20. This part is here, done. And which is negative 20, sorry.
So is the X minus M a part of the equation as well?
Yes.
Okay.
If you are not using NX, you can write X minus M also. If not nx, then x minus m. Make sense? I will write it here, but I have to delete it, erase it, okay? So GDP equals C plus I plus G plus X minus M. Either this or C plus I plus G plus NX is the same thing. NX is X minus M. Okay?
Yep.
Right? Next question. What is income-based GDP equal to? So for this one, I always ask my students, close your eyes and write the answer. Like, not close your eyes. The thing is, whatever GDP you calculate using expenditure approach will always be same as using income approach. So answer will stay same, 530. Make sense? So no other calculation, no question, nothing. You have calculated GDP using expenditure approach, which is 530. Using income approach, it will be same, always equal, because I said one person's expenditure is the other person's income, right? Using income based, expenditure based, it's going to stay same. Okay. Now, what portion of consumption expenditure, what portion is the consumption expenditure of total GDP? Remember percentage calculation? Can anyone say how would we do this? Any idea? Not a question. Not the question. Right? It's this. Divided by 530. Remember the portion, the rate you are calculating. So I will write with this marker here. It's gonna be 300, which is consumption expenditure, divided by total GDP, 530 times 100. Yes. How much is it? Can please someone calculate it for me? $300 divided by 530 times 100.
56.6.
No.
How much is it then?
56.16.
Not 56.6?
Yeah, it's 56.6.
Yeah. Percent. That's right. Thanks. Yeah. Okay. Are we good so far? Right. Next is net investment. Yes.
Sorry.
Yes, Cassandra.
So what you did was you took the total of the GDP and you minused it by the consumption expenditure.
Sorry, where? Minus?
What is the portion? What portion is consumption expenditure of total GDP?
Yeah, so we did consumption expenditure, which is 300 divided by total GDP that we calculated 530 times 100. I'm sharing the screen and are you looking at that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Yeah. So next is what is net investment? And what I said, what I talked about in net investment is net equals gross subtract depreciation. Now for this question, we will use depreciation, right? So gross investment is given, which is 100. Okay, which is given 100. Subtract depreciation given 55. Net investment is 45. And what is greater in export import? It's clearly given. Imports are greater than export.
Excuse me.
Okay. If we okay so far, I'm moving to the next slide. And next is again kind of similar question, and you are going to answer the questions in here now. Okay. Whoever worked with this one, did good job. Yeah. I just changed the color of the answer, so it's evident that you answered it. Okay. Which method would you use to calculate GDP in here? So for that, we will see what is given. Expenditure given, one income, investment side given, government expenditure, net exports. So we are directly given the C, I, G, and NX. We will use the expenditure method. Right? And this group calculated it, and which is consumption, investment, government expenditure, and net exports. Yes, we will use it as it is. Okay, so they did correct calculations. Okay, so I'm not asking anything. Are you okay with this? Just have a look at it. Does it make sense? All right. Then what is income-based GDP then? How much will be GDP here for third bullet? Third question.
8800.
8800.
That's right, everyone. Yep. So it's just, as I said, close your eyes and write it. 800 billions of dollars. Okay. You there? All right. So can you calculate the portion of consumption expenditure of total GDP? Oh, DN, you did it. Okay. So what I receive is 56.82%. Thank you. Just for everyone, I'm writing the formula quickly. Our consumption is 5,000 and GDP is 8,800 times 100, which should be equal to 56.82. Okay. How much will be net investment? So net is gross subtract depreciation, right? How much is gross investment given?
2000.
Yes, and depreciation is given as 500. So our net investment will be 1,500. That's right, Courtney. Right. Now tell me, what is greater, imports or exports?
Import.
So let's see the answers. 3 or 4 answers.
I'm
Import.
sorry, how did you get import? I can't find anything or like import on this chart.
All right, thanks for the question. Net exports is negative 200. And how do we count net exports? Export minus import. When will this number be negative? When imports are greater than exports.
Okay, got it.
Right? Yeah. Okay, it looks like this one because we practiced, so makes sense. So for the income method, wow, this group did it. Yep, they kind of did it. Yeah. How about let's take break for 10 minutes now? Will that be okay? And then we will work with these two questions. Make sense?
Okay, thank you.
I have 10 or meanwhile, you can look at these ones. I will make changes with the correction in here. I'll keep the screen on, but you can take your eyes off. It's your choice, okay? And it's 10:07. We're going to come back at 10:17. Okay. Screen. So slide 5, room 3 was working on it, but I guess Manpreet, you worked on it, and I just changed the color of the answers.
I was there as well.
Okay, all right, Clay. Yeah. So your group did this thing, and that is awesome. I just made small changes, and I will talk about that. So I would appreciate your participation in explaining this one. Why did you choose the income approach in calculation this?
Well, I chose it because it was I wasn't too sure with the two. Wasn't very knowledgeable about income approach and the other approach, but based on the amount of numbers that we had here,
Yeah.
I took it as income approach.
Yeah, look at, and that's absolutely correct answer. You will see what numbers are given in here. If I check the expenditure method, because that was the easy one, so I always go with that one first. A consumption expenditure is given, and then government purchases are given. Yeah, net exports are given, but I do not see investment. So I cannot use the expenditure method. More incomes are given. Compensation of employees means wages, labor income is given. We will add this. Okay, we will ignore expenditures when we are using income approach. Okay, so partnership income, again, income, unincorporated income, yes, income, government purchase is expenditure, ignore it. Corporate profits is entrepreneurs income, yeah, sole proprietors income, income. Then indirect taxes, exports, and depreciation. Okay, all these income, we will add them. And that's what they did. 225, 15, 23, 8, and 23. That's right. So these are all incomes added, which is called net domestic income at factor cost. Okay, so the all incomes added. We make two adjustments. We will add indirect taxes as subsidies and depreciation also. 14 and 16. Total makes it 324. Okay, and expenditure based GDP will also be 324. Just close your eyes and write the same answer in here. What portion of labor income? Absolutely right. 225 labor income divided by total GDP times 100, which makes it 69% or 69.4. That's right. Okay, now this is little tricky. Net domestic product at factor cost equal to, so this is net domestic income at factor cost, okay, and that which is just all the incomes. Two ways to solve it. You either add all incomes only before making any adjustment, or from GDP, from total GDP that you calculated as this group did, subtract indirect taxes less subsidies and depreciation. Will reach to 294 net domestic income at factor cost. Okay, repeating again. Net domestic income at factor cost is just the addition of all the incomes before all those adjustments with taxes and depreciation. Okay, so add all 5 incomes that you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just given 5 incomes, add all those, you will reach to 294. Or what this group did, from GDP, subtract extra things, that is indirect taxes and depreciation. Okay, now what is greater, exports or imports? Net exports are positive, so exports are greater than imports. And that's great. Everything was good. Nicely done in this one. This is what is expected in exam. Okay. Next slide, just to let you know, is exactly the same question as just we did. So I copied all the answers there for you. Okay. Now again, if I ask you the question, if you see this kind of question in exam, after practicing on them, would you be able to answer those questions?
Maybe with a little bit more practice.
Yes, with more practice, of course. Yeah, you need practice. So for practice, you have try your time questions in your teaching modules, work with those ones. And I will also provide you exam review in week 7. Okay, so you have more question to practice. All right. Now, I would ask you to save these slides. Thanks, Diane. So save these slides or download these slides, whichever your device allows you. So you're going to go to File, okay, and save a copy, or either ways, it will ask you to save it, or I won't suggest PDF, just save a copy or download. It will ask you to download. If you do save as, just do that now. Because once the meeting is closed, these will be gone. Okay, and you want these questions to practice. So keep them. And if you save now, you'll be able to save all these annotations. So the work that we did on them. And if someone is working through mobile phone, I'm not sure what you would do is, or if you can save the link from the chat, just save that. And then okay, I'm going to stop sharing that now. All right, so moving to the next topic in our course in GDP. Okay, so far we calculated gross domestic product using expenditure and income approach. Just to let you know, you will have question on the calculation in assignment, and you will also have the question on calculation in exam. Okay, even if it's 1 or 2 questions, there will be questions. Okay, next is nominal versus real GDP. So we have calculated GDP now. Okay, next is the more extension on that GDP. GDP will not go anywhere until the end of the term. Okay, so now nominal and real GDP. I will give example for this one, then show you the formula, and you will practice on that. Okay, so example is for what does it mean? Why do we have to differentiate it? Why do we have 2 words, nominal GDP and real GDP, right? So if I give you example, let's say 2020, in 2020, in an economy, they were making, let's say, okay, shirts. That was easy example. They were making shirts. Okay, so in 2020, if they made, let's say, 20 shirts, okay, and the price of the shirt is, the cost of shirt or the price of shirt is, let's say, $10, right? So the GDP in 2020, okay, this is GDP, means total expenditure, and that is gross domestic product. This economy is making shirts only, and each shirt is worth $10. So they make 20, their GDP is $200, right? That is what we understood so far, and that is what total expenditure is, and that's it. Let's say in 2021, right, they made 25 shirts. But this time, each shirt cost $20. After 1 year, the price of a shirt is $20 per shirt. Okay, so the GDP is $500. Okay. So what happened with that? Look at the numbers. Look at the GDP. Okay. In 2020, it was 200. In 2021, it's 500. So 300 increase in gross domestic product. If I calculate it, it is like 500 subtract 200. I'm calculating the percentage change divided by 200 times 1. So 3 divided by 2, it's like 150%. Am I right? Yeah, 150% increase in GDP, right? And now look at the shirts. Do you really think that much increase in GDP is there? Do you really think there is 150% increase in production in the economy? They were making only 20 shirts and now they are making 25 shirts, right? If you check 25 shirts, production wise, 5 divided by 20. It's only 25% increase. The production actually has increased only 25%. And why is our gross domestic product increased by 150%? It's a wrong calculation, right? Looks like, but no. What does it mean? In 2020, GDP was, you have no other year to compare or all these things. So 200 is the GDP, basic GDP. We consider it as base year also in our example only. Okay. Now in 2021, not only production increase, but look at the price increase. It has doubled. Price has gone double, right? So that is the reason for GDP to increase, right? So if we do not take care of the price or inflation rate, we take the current prices of the product, we are calculating nominal GDP. That is nominal GDP. So when we take the current year quantity and current year prices, that is nominal GDP. To calculate real GDP of 2021, we will take 21's quantity and the price of the base year. Okay. So 25, if we sell it at base year prices, the GDP will be $250. And this GDP is called real GDP because we have taken out the effect of inflation. We have taken out the increase in price level. So if we take the quantity of current year and base year prices or previous year prices, the year with which we are comparing it, we reach to real GDP. And that is the reality, how much actually production has increased. This 500 includes the price change also. Nominal GDP could have increased to any extent because of inflation rate. But real GDP actually shows the picture how much in reality being produced, how much actually increases in there. So $200 to $250 is the change in real GDP, and 250 is real GDP. Okay, does this make sense? That is just to explain the difference between real and nominal GDP. Okay, now if I ask you the question, you will have the formula to answer it. Okay, so I'm going to show you that. How can we calculate real or nominal GDPs? So here is the formula. To calculate real GDP from nominal GDP, we use, I will write it here so that I could play with it. Nominal GDP divided by price level times 100. Okay, to calculate real GDP, the formula is nominal GDP divided by price level times 100. Now this formula you can write a formula on a sheet, and you can keep that sheet for the exam time also. Okay, so this you can have formula sheet with you. So real GDP is equal to nominal GDP divided by price level times 100. So for this case, the numbers will be given to you. Now, how much is the nominal GDP? How much is price level? Okay, and what is price level? The price level is general, average price level of all goods and services in the economy. We will calculate price level in unit 3, definitely. The other name for price level is called GDP deflator. So deflator, it's like balloon, you deflate, that deflator. This deflator means the thing that you think that it's too high, they deflate it, like take out the effect of inflation. So it's GDP deflator. Okay, we will calculate GDP deflator or price level in unit 3. Okay, so far just understand that price level is average price level of all goods and services in the economy. Okay, and nominal GDP, so whatever the GDP of current year, using current year prices and current year quantity. And how we calculate real GDP, nominal divided by price level times 100. That is real GDP. Rest here are just the rearrangement of the formula. Okay, so if real is given, how will you calculate nominal GDP? So real times price level. How would you calculate price level from here? Nominal divided by real. So just the rearrangement of formula. You can write all 3 formulas with you, or just one formula depending upon your math skills. Okay, so this is difference between real and nominal GDP. To understand little more, I will not work on this one. You can just like use this slide to work with this. Let's say this is year 2020 and this is 2021. So when you have no year before 2020, consider this as base year or your previous year. Whatever the GDP you will calculate here, that will be nominal and real GDP. Okay. For 2021, when you take 21 prices and 21 quantity, you will calculate here nominal GDP. 2021. Okay. When you adjust it for the inflation rate, so you use 2021 previous year's price and current year's quantity, you will be able to calculate real GDP of 2021. Okay, so just try it and check how much is the difference. Is really there is any increase or decrease in real GDP, even if nominal GDP is increasing, right? In this economy, there are 2 products, shirts and haircuts, one product and one service. And just simple, so work with it like I did here with the shirts. Okay, just try and calculate nominal and real GDP for both the years. And to use this formula, I will give you practice question in class to work on. Okay, but before that, 2 more things to study. One is Rule 70, another is economic growth. Okay, so these topics go side by side, so we're going to work them all together. First, Rule 70, very simple thing. This is like made formula by mathematicians. It's to check how long does it take for something to be double. I repeat, how long does it take for something to be double? Okay, so that something in our case is GDP. Or I would say now, real GDP. We're going to use onwards real GDP only. Okay, so how long does it take for real GDP to be double? Okay, what do we need for that? How can we calculate it? Okay. So let's say real GDP is 200 millions of dollars, and we need at what rate it increases. So let's say growth rate of GDP is 4%. Okay, growth rate is 4%. So what does it mean? Every year, economy's GDP is increasing at 4% rate, right? So the rate of growth is 4%. If GDP is increasing at 4% growth rate, how long will it take to be $400, 400 billions of dollars? Rule 70 says they will calculate number of years. Okay, so formula is you do 70 divided by growth rate. That's it. 70 divided by growth rate. It's gonna take 1 and 7. 17.5 years. It will take 17.5 years for the economy, for the real GDP to be 400 billions of dollars if it continues increasing at 4% growth rate. Okay, scientists also use this. How long will this bacteria, how long will it take for this bacteria to be double? How long will it take for this growth to be double, for this height to be double, length to be double, if the increasing rate is this? Okay, so yeah, this is rule 70. Just simple thing. You might have one question on exam, but you definitely have question on assignment on rule 70. It's called rule 70 because we divide 70 with the growth rate. Okay, it's a simple thing. You can write this formula on your formula sheet also. 70 divided by growth rate, and whatever it calculates, it's the number of years. Yes, another important part is economic growth to calculate. Okay, just to ask you, you might have studied or studying math course, business math, in which you calculate percentage change formula, right? So this is very important formula, percentage change formula. This is actually growth rate formula. So how do we calculate economic growth? We use the real GDP to calculate economic growth. So far, we have calculated what is economic growth. It will make the economy to move from lower PPF to higher PPF, right? Now, how much is the growth we calculate using the growth rate formula? I'm going to write the formula. One is written here, but I'm going to write another formula, growth rate. It is real GDP current year subtract real GDP previous year times, divided by real GDP previous year, everything times 100. This is growth rate formula. Okay, real GDP current year subtract real GDP previous year divided by real GDP previous year. Okay, this is also percentage change formula that you might have studied in math, or you will study in math. That is current subtract previous divided by previous times 100, whatever growth rate or percentage you are calculating. It could be in real GDP, it could be in population, it could be in numbers, your age, and all that, growth rate formula, anything, right? So This formula, remember forever, we will calculate percentage change many times in the course. Right now it is with the real GDP percentage change, which is growth rate, economic growth. Okay, if we go, so if I go previous slide here, real GDP in 2021 is 250 and in 2020 is 200. If I employ that in here, 250 current year, subtract 200 previous year, divided by 200 previous year times 100. So it will be 50 divided by 200 times 100, which is 25%. So growth rate in here is 25%, and that was right. Okay, this is how you're going to calculate it. Economic growth. Okay. Other than that, there is, just try this way. Okay. I'm going to give you an example here. So let's say 3 countries. Okay. So we are going to make the comparison of 3 countries in here with growth rate. So just hypothetically, I'm taking the numbers, but trying to be close to the reality. So growth rate in Canada, let's say in 2020 was 3%, the beginning of pandemic. In China, it was 9%, and India's growth rate was 7%. Okay, this means these economies, their GDP, real gross domestic product, was increasing at this rate, 3%, 9%, and 7% for India. Okay, now looking at these numbers, what do you think? Which country is actually looks like really developed or working really good or rich? So we know what is GDP. We know real GDP also, and growth rate shows that the economy is growing at that rate. Okay, which economy looks like doing the best? China, for sure. The answer is yes. That's right, Deanne. Do you really think China is more developed than Canada? Would you say that? Anyone? Is the reality like China is more developed than Canada? No, right? Yeah. Why? Then how can we say that the real GDP growth rate is 9% in China? Why is not China a highly developed economy than Canada? Or why not India developed economy than Canada? Any thinking, any thought about that? What would you say? What could be the reason that Canada with lower GDP growth rate is doing better than these economies? What could be the reason? No idea? More establishments means more equipment, or I kind of like don't understand that. Okay, yeah, that could be. Yeah. So let me give you the other reason for that. Business, tourist, sports. Yeah, Cassandra. Yes, that's the reason actually. Yeah, the reason is population. Yes, China and India's population is way more than Canada. It's not about the population that they have more population than Canada. It's their GDP in proportion, in ratio to population is not that high. So let's say, ignore the growth rate right now. Let's say the real GDP. Real GDP in these economies, okay? Let's say it is, yeah, in terms of dollars. So let's say real GDP is 100. Okay, just take, I can take out one, let's take 2 countries only. Okay, and real GDP is 100. Population in Canada and China. Let's say the population in Canada is 5 people, and in China there are 10 people, right? 10 is low number. 20 people. Okay, comparison for both the economies. Can you divide this real GDP in Canada and in China among the people? So how much will be real GDP in Canada? It's called real GDP per person. What would we do? How much each person will enjoy in Canada? How much of real GDP each person will enjoy in Canada? That's right. $20. How do we do that? 100 divided by 5, which is $20. Same thing. Real GDP per person in China. 100 divided by, yes, divided by 20 is 5. Right? If we have to make the comparison of growth rate, if we have to really check the standard of living of the economies, their people, if we have to really check the development of the economy, we do not calculate only real GDP. We calculate real GDP per person. Now, Canada, one person is enjoying $20, and in China, one person is enjoying $5. This big difference in standard of living, that also explains China, if they both, Canada and China, have $100 real GDP, even if they have same growth rate, right? Their standard of living, their development will not be same because of the population growth rate. If population growth rate is more than growth rate in GDP, the country country's standard of living will really be low, right? The thing is, to make the comparison, to actually check the growth rate and the standard of living, we have new concept that is called real GDP per person or real GDP per capita. Okay, and to calculate it, we do real GDP divided by population. Okay, I'm going back on the previous slide now. This is real GDP per capita calculation, which is real GDP divided by population. Okay, and we calculate the growth rate using real GDP per capita. So here is the formula, same again, but the number we are using is real GDP per capita current year, subtract real GDP per capita previous years, everything divided by real GDP per capita previous years, everything times 100. Okay, that is economic growth. Okay, so we have, yeah, I gave you the examples, calculation and everything. Okay, next is you are going to calculate real GDP and real GDP per capita and then growth rate. Okay, so I will share the document. You will work on it for 10 minutes, and after that we will have break, and after break I will answer, or we will discuss the answers. Okay. So now I will share another document. Let me just copy the link. Share in chat. You see a link in the chat. Please open that. Yes, I guess you can see that now. If there is an issue with anyone who to open it, so I did this again. So there is the link again. Just share it. I mean, like, open it. Okay. All right, I guess everyone is there in. So I will open the breakout room. What you are going to do is, again, check which room you are in, okay, and work on the respective slide 3, 4. So this says something like this. I'll show you the slide. So you are going to calculate real GDP. So nominal GDP and GDP deflator is price level given. Calculate real GDP for both the years. And percentage change means growth rate. So you will calculate percentage change in nominal GDP and then GDP deflator, and then whatever your real GDP is there. And then you're going to answer these questions. For base year, just check which one do you think is the base year in here. Okay. Second slide is kind of similar. No, not similar. So it is like real GDP and population is given. So you will calculate real GDP per capita and same growth rate of real GDP, population, and real GDP per capita. And then answer these 2 questions. Okay. Same is for kind of next slide and next slide. Maybe questions are different, but I mean, numbers are different, but the questions are same. Okay. So 4 slides we will work on. And I'm going to open the breakout rooms now. So let's quickly look at those answers, discuss the questions, and then we will be done for the day. Okay. I turned this slide on for you on screen just to remind you the formula that you are using for percentage change or for calculation of real GDP per capita or economic growth. Okay. And now I'm changing the screen. We'll put up where you worked on. Okay, here are the slides. So I did some changes in slide 3 for room 1 students. They did actually correct calculations. So I just highlighted, no, I just changed the font color for answers. Okay, so they did a good job. Nominal GDP, I think I can see there are maybe Trevor, or there were some more people in here. Okay. So nominal GDP and GDP deflator was given. GDP deflator is price level, and year 2015 and 2019. You need to calculate everything in this yellow, in these yellow cells. Okay. So first, how to calculate real GDP? Nominal divided by GDP deflator. That's it. So you 300 divided by price level times 100. Which is equal to 300, and their answers are absolutely correct for all of them. This one, all correct. Next was the percentage change, which is the growth rate formula. For that, you do the formula that was real nominal for this one. Nominal GDP current year, subtract nominal GDP previous year, divided by nominal GDP previous year times 100. So they did it, I guess. It's 450, subtract 300, divided by 300 times 100. This is how you're going to solve this one. Okay, when you do this, you reach to 50% growth in nominal GDP. Same formula you apply on GDP deflator. 160 subtract 100 divided by 100 times 100. It's 60% growth in the price level. Same formula for real GDP with 281.25 and 300. Okay. When you do it with real GDP, you can notice that in 2015, real GDP was 300 and 2019 real GDP decreased to 281. So the growth rate will definitely be negative number. Okay. So after calculation of all these, the answers, what is the base year? Base year is 2015 because GDP deflator is 100 here. I did not mention it earlier, so I'm saying it again here. So everyone, when in the given data, you see the GDP deflator or price level is 100, that year is the base year. Other than that, there will be either inflation means greater than 100 or deflation means less than 100 price level. Only on base year it is 100. Has nominal GDP increased? Yes, it has increased from 300 to 450, which is right by 50%. What has contributed to this increase? Price level has contributed to this increase because prices has increased by 60%. Okay, only price level has contributed to this increase. Has there been any economic growth? No, there is no economic growth because the reason is, you can see that real GDP has gone down. If there is economic growth, it is negative economic growth. Real GDP has decreased instead of increasing. Okay, has decreased by 6.67%. All right, so this part is done. Are you with me? Does this make sense? Please, little thumbs up will help. All right, perfect. So just now, slide 3 is exactly similar to slide 5. So whoever were working with slide 5, I would suggest you make the corrections in here. This is 300. This is 281.25 real GDP. Okay. And this is 50%. This is clearly 60%. And this was negative 6.67%. That's what I see. And then please change the answers in here. Okay, there is increase, but there is no increase in here. Okay, so please change the answers as per this slide. Okay, now slide 4 is exactly similar to slide 6. So room 2 and room 4 people. So let's work with any of them. Yeah. Okay, so there was a confusion. For real GDP per capita, there was no multiplication with 100, right? So for real GDP per capita, it's real GDP divided by population only. That's it. So nothing in here. So 300 divided by 15. Okay, so that is $20 per capita. And in 2019, it is 250 divided by 20. It's 12.5, I guess. Right? Yes. Okay. And for these ones, real GDP, yeah, so 250 subtract 300 divided by 300 times 100, it's 16.67%. And real GDP population has increased by, really, 75%. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yep. And then real GDP per capita has not increased, is decreased because the numbers were wrong. Sorry, you have to make this correction again. Okay, so it's gonna be 12.5 subtract 20 divided by 20 times 100. I guess you can make it now. Okay, so yeah, this is when look at it, real GDP has decreased, population has increased, right? Real GDP per capita will definitely be like more affected with this. Standard of living will go down and all that. What has happened to standard of living? I have answered that, decreased. And why it has decreased, you see, real GDP did not increase, but on the other side, population has increased. So real GDP per capita will decrease. So that will decrease the standard of living. Right? Do you think what happened to what do you think what happened to employment? So when I was reading the answers, somebody said like population, because population increased, employment increased. No, population increased means job seekers increased, right? But no increase in production, no increase in real GDP. That means unemployment will increase. So employment has decreased because of decrease in production, because of decrease in real GDP. So employment will increase, rather unemployment will increase. Okay, just checking what room 4 did. Yeah, so they are trying to fix it. That is wonderful. Yeah, population has not population has decreased. Real GDP per capita has decreased. Has decreased, so standard of living decreased. And yeah, not more people, more job. More people means more income. So decrease in employment because of decrease in real GDP. Okay, real GDP, no real GDP means no production. No production means no job requirements. Okay, so I guess you can fix these ones now, right? This is done. And this, would it be okay? I guess I did something wrong in here. Let's type it. Decreased. Okay. So last slide, I answered it. First question was nominal GDP and real GDP was given. You have to calculate GDP deflator or price level. I use the formula nominal divided by real. So price level or GDP deflator is 175. And second question is how long will it take for Amberville real GDP to be 6,400 from 3,200, which is a double? How long will it take? So you will just use the rule 70. 70 divided by growth rate, which is 5. It's 14 years. It will take 14 years for this economy to have its real GDP to $6,400. Okay. So that ends. I would suggest please make correction on slide 4 and slide 6. Oh no, I did slide 4, slide 5 and slide 6. Okay, and that's all. It's just go to file and save the document. Okay, save these slides. or download these slides, whichever way work helps. Okay, so these are important that you keep them with you for the preparation of assignment and exam. Okay, that ends our class today, and the rest, the business cycle and labor productivity, I will record and post it with the Zoom meeting, where the Zoom meeting videos go. Okay, thank you so much for staying here with me. I'm sorry, like it was low, but I hope I was able to explain it well. So I will see you next week with Unit 3. Okay.